Welcome to Industry of Things World USA 2019. I'm here with Brian Iwrin from Accenture. Welcome and thank you for agreeing to do the interview with us.
It's a pleasure, Elise. Thank you for inviting us.
Thanks. You've been working in direct contact with the automotive and industrial leaders in your different roles over the past 20 years. What are the digital transformation trends and challenges that you have been seeing arising in North America?
It's a fabulous question because we're seeing more change in automotive and industrial equipment companies now than we've seen over the last 30, 40 years. A great example of that is in automotive, where we have four major disrupting factors. We talk about it in terms of connected, autonomous, shared, and electrical, or CASE. Each of those individual disruptors has phenomenal impact on the industry, on the ecosystem, and on the consumers that actually buy the product at the end of the day. Now, what's interesting is that each of these changes require huge investments in technology and long lead times to really get it right, okay? From an organization's perspective, and you talked about challenges, from an organization's perspective, it's a little bit about, well, how do I fund the required investment in that technology? How do I make sure that the workforce has the required capabilities? And then how do I know where to place my bets? Because the technology, the industry is evolving so quickly that there's absolutely going to be winners and losers. And the challenge is to make sure you're on the right side of that ledger, if you will.
Great way to look at it. In your role as automotive and industrial leader at Accenture, what are some of the impacts and advances that you would say are specific to the North American market?
It would be a tremendous understatement to say that this is a global industry. I mean, it's probably one of the most global of industries. You see that when you walk outside into the parking lot. You'll see cars from Detroit, you'll see cars from Asia, you'll see cars from Europe. That's at the OEM level, and of course the ecosystem behind that, the tier 1s, the tier 2 suppliers, and the like. So it's truly a global marketplace. Now, that said, the market, each regional market is a function of the consumer preferences and demands in that individual market. And we see that in automotive as example, the fact that the single biggest sector or segment in the marketplace is pickups. And that's kind of unique to North America vis-a-vis Europe, where you're from, okay? So that's in the end state product. Underlying that, behind that, we see the same differences in preferences around technology. Great example. We recently did some work and some primary research talking to industrial companies around their views about artificial intelligence and the impact that AI will have on these industrial companies. Now, it's interesting that across the world globally, we're looking at something like 72, 73% of the leadership of these industrial companies believe that AI will have a meaningful impact in their business. Now, where it's interesting in your question about diversity across the globe is that in America, that number is closer to 94%, where in Germany, that's in the high 50s, low 60s. So there's a great example of an area where we see this regional disparity in terms of how organizations are thinking about different technologies.
That's a really nice take on diversity indeed in the global market. What would be your advice to harness new IoT technology and generate return on investment when adopting these technologies?
That's one of the questions that we get presented with most frequently. As we see the disruption taking place, a lot of organizations are saying, well, two things. One, how do I start? And then secondly, how do we make sure we're going down the right path? And there is an ROI to that investment. So I think about it in terms of four key elements. Number one, you need to start with a business problem rather than a technology solution. So what we're really saying here is figure out what problem you're really trying to solve and use IoT to solve it rather than being the hammer looking for the nail. Okay? Number two, find a North Star. And what we're really talking about here is find something that the organization can get behind. So this isn't just another project. This becomes something that can be transformational for the business. And then make sure that the leadership team communicates that throughout. So So the number 2 is defining the North Star and make sure that the leadership team embraces it. Then the third issue is how do you deliver it? And here's what we tell organizations is to look to the ecosystem. Customer demands are changing, technology is changing, and therefore so too should your ecosystem change over time. Driving efficiency, or in order to drive efficiency, in order to drive effectiveness, in order to drive the speed to market, you can't build it all yourself, and that's where your strategic or your ecosystem partners really come to play. And then the last one is really simple. It's think big, start small, and scale fast. And we believe that if an organization does those 4 things, they're best positioned for a strong return and success in the IoT space.
Very interesting. It is the second time that you attend the event, the Industry of Things World USA. Lead generation, networking, knowledge exchange are obviously very important aspects of why you're taking part in this event as a business partner. How would you say the multi-touchpoint concept, so that the interactive formats that we have, mixing case studies and interactive sessions, how would you say this helps you achieve your goals?
We're really proud of our association with the IoT World Congress. And I think as an organization, we've been here 3 years now and have been a partner with you globally around the world. We like the format because it provides a nice blend of the keynotes, which are really talking to me, the breakouts where you're talking with me, and then the interaction that takes place in the well-designed, I'll say, social time. I mean, last night was a great example. We were at the Mixer with my team and had an opportunity to connect with a couple of organizations that we had planted seeds with and connected with last year when we were here at San Diego. It provides an opportunity to reestablish those communications, the contact, and to think about different ways of partnering together. We love the format.
Well, thank you very much, and I wish you a lot of fun for the next days.
Thanks, Elise. It was a pleasure speaking with you today.
Same here.